Something shocking has just shaken the world of Hudson and Rex. John Reardon, the actor fans have loved for years as Detective Charlie Hudson, is suddenly at the center of a storm no one saw coming. And now, for the very first time, his wife has broken her silence. What she revealed has left the fandom stunned and questioning everything they thought they knew about the future of the show. Could this really be the end of John's journey with Rex? Or is there more going on behind the scenes than anyone realized? Let's dive into the story that has everyone talking from the very beginning. John Reardon became the heart and soul of Hudson and Rex, playing Detective Charlie Hudson. He brought charm, warmth, and a quiet strength to the character that immediately won audiences over. But it wasn't just his performance that kept fans watching week after week. It was his undeniable partnership with Diesel von Bergenwald, the German shepherd who plays Rex. Together, they created a bond on screen that felt more than just acting. It felt real, authentic, like a man and his loyal dog taking on the world side by side. This connection quickly became the foundation of the show, and without it, many believe the series wouldn't have reached the level of success it has today. Over the years, fans have grown attached not only to the mysteries and action-packed stories, but also to the emotional core of the series. Detective Hudson's loyalty, his resilience, and his unbreakable trust in Rex became a kind of comfort to viewers. People tuned in not just for the cases, but for the heartwarming relationship at the center of every episode. That's why when whispers of trouble behind the scenes began to surface, it didn't take long for the fanbase to panic. The idea of Hudson and Rex without John Reardon felt almost unthinkable. The first signs of change came quietly. Industry insiders hinted that Season 8 might bring big shifts, both on and off screen. While the network remained silent, social media chatter began to grow louder. Was John really stepping away from the role? Was he being pushed out? No one knew for sure. The only thing fans knew was that something didn't feel right. For a show that had built its reputation on stability and a strong lead dynamic, the possibility of losing its star was almost too much to process. Behind the curtain, John had always been known as a dedicated professional, someone who treated his cast, crew, and even the dog trainers with respect and kindness. He wasn't the kind of actor to seek out controversy, which is why these rumors hit even harder. They didn't match the man fans had come to admire both on screen and off. For weeks, the silence from John and his team only fueled the speculation. Every day, new theories surfaced. Some believed he was leaving for personal reasons, others insisted it was a creative dispute, while a few pointed to network politics as the cause. But then came the turning point. After weeks of staying quiet, John's wife finally spoke up. Her words, filled with emotion, not only confirmed that the situation was serious, but also gave fans a glimpse into just how personal this ordeal had become. Her statement wasn't delivered through polished press releases or staged interviews. It felt raw, heartfelt, and deeply human. And that's what made it hit so hard. Suddenly, the rumors weren't just rumors anymore. They had weight, and they carried the voice of someone who truly knew what was happening behind the scenes. For longtime fans, hearing from John's wife changed everything. It reminded them that behind the character of Detective Hudson and behind the bright lights of the television screen, there is a real man with a family who is also navigating the uncertainty of the industry. It put the entire situation in a new light. This wasn't just about a show losing its lead. It was about a family standing together in the middle of a storm, trying to protect what mattered most. And yet, as powerful as her words were, they also raised new questions. What exactly had gone wrong? Was this really a firing as so many feared, or was it something more complicated? Fans now had a statement, but they were desperate for answers. Could John still return for Season 8? Or was his chapter in Hudson and Rex truly closing for good? One thing was clear: the story was far from over. Rumors are like wildfire in the world of television. And when it comes to a beloved actor like John Reardon, even the smallest spark can turn into a raging storm. The whispers about his future on Hudson and Rex didn't start with an official statement or a press release. They began with tiny hints, subtle shifts that only the most loyal fans noticed at first. Suddenly, promotional materials for Season 8 seemed quieter about John's role. Interviews with other cast members skirted around questions about him. And then, the one thing that sent fans into overdrive, leaked reports from inside sources. Claiming that John had been let go. At first, many brushed it off as clickbait gossip. After all, John had been the face of Hudson and Rex since day one. He wasn't just another cast member, he was the central figure around whom the entire story revolved. How could the producers possibly think about continuing the show without him? But as the days turned into weeks, the rumors refused to die down. They grew louder, fueled by entertainment blogs, fan pages, and even some industry insiders who swore they had the inside scoop. Different theories began to swirl. Some claimed that John had clashed with the writers over creative choices, wanting to take Charlie Hudson's character in a new direction that the showrunners weren't ready to explore. Others suggested that budget cuts might be behind the decision, as networks often make tough financial calls that don't always line up with what fans want. And then there were the darker whispers, suggestions of behind the scenes, conflicts or disagreements with executives that reached a breaking point. But perhaps the most painful rumor of all was the idea that John hadn't left by choice, that he had been forced out. The word firing began popping up everywhere, and fans couldn't help but feel a sense of betrayal. For so many years, John had given everything to the role, building a character that resonated with viewers around the world. To think that he could simply be cut out so abruptly felt like a gut punch to those who had followed his journey since Season 1. Social media became a battleground. On one side were those who believed the firing rumors without hesitation, demanding answers from the network and threatening to boycott Season 8 if John wasn't part of it. On the other side were fans who held out hope, insisting that the lack of an official announcement meant there was still a chance the rumors were exaggerated or even false. Hashtags like #SaveJohnReardon and #HudsonNeedsHudson started trending, as fans rallied to show their support for the actor who had given them years of heartfelt performances. And yet, the silence from John himself only made things worse. In the world of entertainment, silence is often seen as confirmation. The longer he stayed quiet, the more convinced people became that the rumors were true. Every day, new speculations surfaced. Would the writers kill off Detective Hudson in the opening episodes of Season 8? Would they quietly write him out with a vague storyline, leaving the door open for a return later? Or would they attempt the most dreaded option, recasting the role altogether? Even entertainment critics began weighing in, pointing out how rare it is for a show to survive after losing its lead. Sure, supporting characters and fresh storylines can carry a series for a while, but Hudson and Rex wasn't just another procedural drama. It was built on the chemistry between John Reardon and Diesel, a partnership that couldn't simply be replaced. Many argued that trying to continue without him would be like trying to do Sherlock Holmes without Sherlock. Meanwhile, tabloids began to stir the pot even further by publishing unverified stories about John's personal life, blurring the line between fact and fiction. Some claimed he was stepping away to focus on family. Others insisted that health concerns might be behind his exit. And then came the articles suggesting that his wife had been urging him to move on from the show long before Season 8. The truth was hidden somewhere in the chaos, but fans were left with nothing but speculation and growing frustration. What made it even harder to accept was the timing. Season 8 had been hyped as a turning point for Hudson and Rex, with promises of bigger cases, deeper character arcs, and emotional twists. For many, it was supposed to be the most exciting chapter yet. But instead of excitement, the shadow of John's possible firing loomed over everything. Every trailer, every poster, every tiny announcement from the network was analyzed and dissected by fans. Desperate for answers, the rumors had become bigger than the show itself. What started as quiet whispers had grown into a storm that no one could ignore. And just when it seemed like the tension had reached its peak, one voice finally stepped forward, the person closest to John, the one who could no longer stay silent, his wife. And what she revealed would change everything. When the storm of rumors became too loud to ignore, Fans were left desperate for clarity. And then, at the moment when speculation was at its peak, the silence was finally broken not by John Reardon himself, but by someone whose words carried just as much weight, if not more, his wife. Her voice cut through the noise like lightning in the middle of a dark sky, giving the world its first real glimpse into what had been happening behind closed doors. What made her statement so powerful was its raw honesty. Unlike the polished and careful words of studio executives, her message felt deeply personal, emotional, and sincere. She didn't speak like someone reading from a prepared press release. Instead, she spoke like a wife protecting her husband, like a partner who had watched someone she loved pour his heart into a role only to be met with uncertainty and, possibly, betrayal. That vulnerability made her words hit harder than any official announcement ever could, according to her. The rumors weren't just wild speculation, they had a painful truth at their core. She admitted that John's future with Hudson and Rex had been thrown into doubt, and she didn't shy away from calling the situation heartbreaking. She described the sleepless nights, the countless conversations behind the scenes, and the emotional toll it had taken on John and their family. Fans who read her words couldn't help but feel the weight of her pain. This wasn't just about a TV show, losing a lead actor. This was about a man's career, his passion, and the strain it had put on the people closest to him. Her statement also pushed back against some of the nastier rumors that had been circulating. She firmly denied the idea that John had been difficult to work with, stressing that he had always been professional, kind, and respectful on set. She reminded fans of the countless stories from crew members who had spoken highly of him, calling him approachable, humble, and dedicated. In her words, John wasn't someone who caused drama, he was someone who lifted people up. By addressing those rumors head-on, she painted a very different picture from the one tabloids had been trying to sell, but perhaps the most shocking part of her statement was the way she described the manner in which John had been treated. While she didn't reveal every detail, likely out of respect for contracts or ongoing discussions, she strongly hinted that the decision had blindsided them. She used words like unfair and unexpected, suggesting that the Reardon family had been left just as stunned as the fans. That revelation only deepened the heartbreak, because it meant that John himself may not have had the closure or respect he deserved after giving so much of himself to the role. Fans were quick to notice the emotional undertones of her message. She spoke of John's deep bond with Diesel, the German shepherd who plays Rex, and how much joy it had brought him to work alongside the talented animal and the dedicated trainers. She mentioned how John would often come home glowing after a day on set, not because of fame or recognition, but because of the special connection he had with his co-star and the stories they brought to life together. The thought of that bond being severed was almost too much for her to put into words. Her words also carried a plea not just for understanding, but for compassion. She reminded fans that while the show was entertainment for millions, it was also a workplace, a career, and a livelihood for the actors and their families. Behind the glossy posters and press tours were real people with real emotions. By sharing that perspective, she humanized the story in a way that touched even those who had never watched a single episode of Hudson and Rex. The impact of her statement was immediate. Within hours, social media exploded with reactions. Fans who had been divided by the rumors suddenly found themselves united in sympathy. The hashtag #StandWithReardon began trending as people from around the world voiced their support. Many promised they wouldn't watch Season 8 if John truly wasn't part of it. Others began tagging the network, demanding answers and urging them to rethink their decision. But her words did something else. They raised new questions. If John had indeed been fired, why? What had gone so wrong that the producers were willing to risk alienating their loyal audience? And most importantly, was there still a chance that this decision could be reversed? By breaking her silence, John's wife hadn't ended the conversation, she had ignited it even further. For longtime fans, the most heartbreaking realization was this: the uncertainty wasn't just professional, it was deeply personal. John Reardon's family had been pulled into the storm, and now their voices were part of the narrative. What had once been speculation had become something much bigger, a story of resilience, loyalty, and the painful realities of the entertainment industry. One thing was certain. After her statement, nothing about Hudson and Rex Season 8 would ever feel the same. Asterisk, the fallout from John Reardon's possible firing isn't just about one actor leaving a show. It's about the very heart of Hudson and Rex being shaken in a way that could change everything Season 8 was meant to be. For 7 seasons, the series built itself on a formula that worked beautifully. Gripping mysteries, heartfelt character, arcs, and above all else, the bond between Detective Charlie Hudson and his loyal partner Rex. Without that central dynamic, the question that now hangs over the show is simple but devastating. Can Hudson and Rex even survive? Season 8 was promoted as the biggest yet, with promises of deeper cases, unexpected twists, and emotional payoffs for longtime viewers. Early buzz suggested that writers had plans to explore Hudson's personal life more than ever before, giving fans new insights into his struggles, his hopes, and his connections outside of the precinct. But if John Reardon is truly gone, all of that groundwork risks being swept away. Storylines carefully woven for years could unravel overnight, leaving writers scrambling to reimagine the show. One of the most immediate concerns is how the show will handle Detective Hudson's exit. In television, writing out a lead character is always risky, but when that character is essentially the anchor of the entire series, the risk multiplies. Will they choose to end his story tragically, perhaps through a shocking on-screen death? Or will they attempt to write him off quietly, explaining that he's moved away, transferred, or retired? Either option risks alienating fans who feel emotionally invested in Hudson's journey and deserve a resolution that feels earned, not rushed. Then there's the issue of replacement. If Hudson leaves, does someone step into his shoes? And if so, who could possibly fill the void? Introducing a new detective might seem like a logical step, but the problem is clear: fans don't want a replacement. They don't want another character paired with Rex, because for them there is only one true partner, John Reardon's Charlie Hudson. Trying to recreate that chemistry with a different actor could easily backfire, turning loyal viewers away from a show that once felt like comfort and consistency. The uncertainty also casts a shadow over the other cast members. Mako Nguyen as Sarah Trong, Kevin Hanchard as Joe Donovan, and Justin Kelly as Jesse Mills have all brought life and depth to their roles. But without Hudson at the center, their dynamics risk losing the gravitational pull that tied the team. Together, the entire squad's chemistry, carefully built over years, suddenly feels fragile. Can their stories carry the show without the steady presence of John Reardon holding everything in place? That's the gamble the network now faces. From a production standpoint, the timing couldn't be worse. Season 8 was supposed to be a triumph, a chance to prove the series could continue delivering fresh and exciting content even after so many seasons. Instead, the behind-the-scenes drama now threatens to overshadow the show itself. Every promotional clip will be viewed through the lens of, "Where is John?" Every new character introduction will be met with skepticism. Instead of excitement, there will be doubt, but perhaps the biggest impact is on the fans. For so many viewers, Hudson and Rex wasn't just a show, it was a weekly ritual, a source of comfort, and a story about loyalty, trust, and the unbreakable bond between man and dog. Losing John Reardon in the role of Detective Hudson feels, to many, like losing the very soul of the series. Fan forums are already filled with posts from people who say they won't watch Season 8 if he's gone. Others are calling for petitions, boycotts, and campaigns to pressure the network into bringing him back. The energy that once fueled excitement for new seasons has now transformed into frustration and heartbreak. The entertainment industry has seen this story before. Shows that lose their lead often struggle to find their footing again. Some manage to reinvent themselves successfully, but many fade away, unable to recapture the magic that once made them great. The truth is, Hudson and Rex was never just another procedural. It stood out because of its unique partnership, one that audiences connected to on a deep emotional level. Trying to move forward without John Reardon risks losing that identity completely, and yet, amidst all the uncertainty, there remains a sliver of hope. John's wife's statement, while emotional and raw, didn't close the door completely. She left room for interpretation, room for fans to believe that perhaps the decision isn't final, that negotiations could still change the outcome. Could there be a last-minute turnaround? Could the network recognize the outpouring of support and bring him back? Those are the questions fans are clinging to as Season 8 looms closer. What happens next will determine not just the future of Hudson and Rex, but its legacy. Will it be remembered as a show that thrived because of the extraordinary bond between John Reardon and Rex? Or will it become another cautionary tale of how a single decision can unravel years of storytelling? One thing is certain, Season 8 will not be business as usual. It will be defined by this controversy, and every episode will carry the weight of what has been lost or perhaps what still might be saved.